Hi guys, in this lesson we will learn how to filter the data frame based on the column value, specifically based on one condition. This is the first part of the filtering tutorial, so you will learn how to select specific rows from the given data frame. Let's first create a new file and call it filter for single statement, like filter single columns single. Okay, and now I will import my Pandas library here. Import Pandas SPD, run it. Okay, and the next step is to import the data, which is located in one step back folder inside of the data here, nbs.csv. I will put this file in the description below. You can just go to my GitHub link and download and practice it right there. Okay, let's import it. df equals pd, this alias, read csv, and one step back slash data folder slash nba.csv. And now if I try to call it right now, yes, head, it will print out the result, right? Let's just check it first before filtering it. I always want to just call this attribute df shape. It just gives me information about the shape, how many rows are there and how many columns are there, and the data types. These are one of the most important things, data types. Okay, for string values it has objects as usual, and for numeric data it has floating data types here. Okay, I understood here. And if I look at the data and want to filter this data based on one column, I will pick up the column first. Let's try to pick up this column, college, copy it, and try to filter it. First, if I want to filter this column, I will need to type in the df, the data frame itself, and the name of the column inside this quotes. And first, if I type in the column itself, it will print it as a series. But if I want to just print out the column based on the value of this column, let's see this as an example, Texas. I want to print out all the rows which have Texas values inside of the college column here. If I just inside of the quotes, I will type in the Texas and click Shift Enter. You could see for the first row it will print out the true, while for other rows, for most of the rows, it will print out the false. But we don't see yet all the rows with Texas value here. In order to see it, first I will do what? If I want to print out this Texas valued rows here, I need to entail it with square brackets and type in the df again here and click Shift Enter, and you could see that how clean it will print out the result. 0 row, 66 row, 133. It just prints out all the rows which contain Texas value inside of this college column here. You could see all the Texas rows in your data is being printed out. And in the same way, we could even print or output it with the help of the round brackets. If we want, instead of these square brackets, I can even type in the round bracket from this side and this side. Then I can even delete the data frame itself as this data, this one, and instead I can assign it to the variable first and run it. Okay, this one we don't need it, and then inside of the data frame we are calling it right now like this one. We are just doing what? Calling this variable here. Click Shift Enter. You could see the result is the same. Even if you don't want to include this variable, just cut it and paste it instead of this variable here and run it again. You could see the result again is the same. But sometimes you would need to filter the numeric data here, this numeric data. But while filtering the data, some of your rows might have NaN values, and you will need to drop or fill in these values with 0 in order to place them at the bottom, because Pandas does not recognize it. Sometimes you need to manipulate around your data before filtering it. In our case, as I have mentioned here, we have already printed out its objects here, the FD types. You could see. Let's see that I want to sort or filter the weight column here. If I want to just sort it first, I will type check in the data type. Data type is float here. Let's see that I want to print out all the rows which are greater than 180. First, just calling the data frame itself here, and now I want to print out all the rows which are greater than 180 here. I will type in the data frame here, column name greater than 180, click shift enter. You could see the first row is false because we haven't included it. We haven't defined the equal sign. It does not equal or greater than, it's just greater than that. And then we are just surrounded with square brackets and type in the df again and run it. You could see it will print out all the rows which are greater than 180 here. Then we could in the same way apply the less. You could see all the rows are printed out which are less than 180 are printed out here. And for greater or less and less, greater than and equal and less than equal are the same here. If I type in less than equal, it will include this weight value, this 180 value here. You can see. And for the greater, again, the result is the same. See, it includes this value here and prints out all the values which are greater or equal than 180. Sometimes if I just pay attention to this data frame itself, to the original data frame, you could see in the 457th row we have the NaN value in each column here. But you might have some columns where you have a valuable data in these columns and one NaN value inside of your numeric filtered column. But you want to filter it in any case, but your Pandas does not recognize it when you have a null value here. As a improvement here, this could be prove it. If I run it, you could see it just prints out the 456 as the last row, and this one Pandas just does not recognize it as the value here. And for if I just even instead of this one I will comment out this one again, it does not understand it too. In that, but if you want to just specify it as a 0, it might have the value, but you want to include this row actually in your data. How you should do this? You should again drop the NaN if you don't want to include it, or fill it with 0 because it has no meaning for you right now. In order to fill it, you are specifying the column name, df, the column name here, df weight column name, and then type in the fillna method, which we have already covered, and here you would type in the 0 and in place true, in place equals to true. But I think that it should print out the error if we want to filter it. I think that this should be like that. If I have run it, and let's check the last row again, if tail, you could see it has converted it. But if I check the data types again here, the data types, you could see For weight column, it has an object here, but for objects, this condition will not work for objects. Why? Because it is considered for numeric data 180. It will print out the error in that case. If I paste it and run it, you can see it has printed an error. It says that not supported with an instance of str and 8 int. Why? Because we have filled it inside of the string here, but instead you will need to just type in the 0 not inside of the quotes, like this one. Let's first refresh this data again, refresh all this data and run this one. Run it. Tail again, it replaced it as a floating object. I check in the data types here. You could see the weight has now the floating data type. And now if I just run it and put in condition that less than 180, you will see that it will include this row in your data. This again row is the example, just you might have the different data, the different columns. This is just the terminology of using it. I can even drop all these NaN values with the dropna method. Dropna, and even save it like that. I don't need it. I don't need my NaN values here. And filter again, df, call it again with tail, and you can see I have cleaned all data.